Partner off and running on a Wednesday, November 6th here of 2024. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. We're gearing up for week 10 of this NFL season, which of course kicks off tomorrow night at the bank when the Ravens and Bengals rematch under the primetime lights. Looking forward to that. Today's live stream is brought to you by our friends at Homage, and courtesy of Homage, Sarah,
Oh.
yet another display
Yes,
of
I'm
t-shirts.
sporting Lamar Jackson today, folks. Lamar Action Jackson. Let's go.
There
Let's
it
go
is.
from Homage.
And being that it is a Wednesday, meaning we got another homage giveaway to do.
Yeah,
so, as we always tell you about, to be eligible for a free homage t-shirt today at the end of this live stream, all you have to do is subscribe to the vault, like this video, leave a super chat with the hashtag vault in it. That
Don't
is
forget that
VAU.
hashtag. There were like 10 or 15 last week that weren't in the running for the giveaway because you forgot the hashtag. Hashtag with your super chat.
Exactly. Yeah. Which means the system that we use now, the electronic randomized system, you won't be added in as a contestant. So hashtag vault via a super chat and just click on the link that's included in the show notes, which is a pinned comment, which brings you to our unique URL at Homage. Much more to come on all of those
One more
things.
note. Don't make all your comments with hashtag vault. It's only the super chats because the software picks up all the hashtag vaults. So if we go through it and it picks you because you just put hashtag vault, but it wasn't in a super chat, you are not going to win. It has to be in a super chat.
We got a t-shirt up for grabs, just like Sarah's rocking right now. More on that to come. All the instructions as you see. If you're in the YouTube space, if you're on Twitter or X, come on over to YouTube so you can be eligible. And all you got to do, go right to that pinned comment, and it'll lay out everything that we just told you about. What we have coming up in terms of football content today, Kyle Van Noy, Ravens linebacker, Sarah, put up a tweet last night in the aftermath of the trade deadline, which of course we'll discuss in detail. We'll also give Eric DeCosta some in-season draft grades, being that the deadline has now passed. The Ravens added Deontay Johnson last week, and now Tre'Davious White at cornerback came in yesterday. So we'll take a look at what that trade might mean for the Ravens, who Tre'Davious White is as a longtime Buffalo Bill who spent this year to date with the Los Angeles Rams. Dan Orlovsky weighed in with his thoughts right away when this move came down the pike, and we will also start to take a close look at Ravens Bengals, courtesy of Bengals beat writer Jay Morrison, who returns to the show. We've had him on in the past, and we'll have him on again in a little over 20 minutes from right now, partner. But great to see you.
Great to see you. Great to see you. I'm happy to talk about what did transpire and what didn't transpire in this trade last night, and I can't wait to talk to Jay because this game is going to be massive tomorrow night on a national stage. But as we know, Bobby, the Ravens had already traded for Deontay Johnson. They added Tre'Davious White, which we'll get to in a second, but they did not add a pass rusher, which is what everybody was clamoring for. And it appeared that Kyle Van Noy, who is the veteran leader among the outside linebackers, all the pass rushers, the edge rushers, he's also the leader in sacks on the team. At 5-13, which was around when the trade deadline finished, when he's probably seeing, like we did, all the criticism that the Ravens didn't go out and get another edge rusher. So Kyle Van Noy appears to push back on that, appears to be taking it personal. He says, folks not watching the games, and it shows. Then he says, mob on Thursday and Saturday night this week. So meaning mob the bank on Thursday night, and also mob Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah, because BYU's they're having a good season, Bobby, but I don't need to talk about that. So
and
he obviously
KVN's alma mater, as most know.
Yes, he's also a BYU Cougar. So he's pushing back. What did you think when you saw that?
Just the way that you interpreted it, first and foremost. This is also a guy who is having individually a solid year at 33. He has been quiet over the last several weeks after coming flying out of the gate and being a top 5 sack getter for the first month plus. Since then, as he talked about recently, Sarah, on his podcast, Yahoo Sports, McCoy and Van Noy, he's getting chipped, he's getting doubled, and they're taking him out of the game plan. I think Justin Madubuike, Sarah, can probably relate. But KVN, so far through 9 games played, has 7 total sacks. Trey Hendrickson, who the Ravens are going to see a lot of coming up tomorrow night, leads the league with 11. The pass rush win rate that we've talked about collectively as a front, not great. 22nd league-wide at a 37% rate. It's not where you want to be. So while the team is collectively, as a group, a top 5 sack getter, they're not getting consistent enough pressure. And here they are, top 5, 28 of them total. The New York Giants, shockingly, being that they're so irrelevant when it comes to the playoff picture, lead at 35. Denver's 31 with the Jets along with Houston at 29. Ravens sitting there at 5. So again, in terms of sack production, great. But they've tended to come in bunches with them, and the pressure is just so spotty. That's the issue. There's not consistent enough pressure, which has led to quarterbacks like Bo Nix, like Jameis Winston, and like Baker Mayfield to have all the time in the world to survey the scene, deliver on time, on task strikes, and the Ravens defense is paid for it.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say this about Kyle Van Noy. I'm glad he's pushing back, and I'm glad he's taking it personal. Because whatever NFL players need for motivation, take it. And if it's that this fan base and the media are saying Eric DeCosta didn't finish the job by getting a pass rusher, absolutely, as the veteran leader, you should take that personal. 1,000%. So good. Be angry, be upset, and I hope everybody else in that room hears the chatter. Okay, I hope they absolutely hear it. Now, he says it's clear that people aren't watching the games. I actually feel like because I am watching these games that I'm not totally bought into this 5th ranked 28 sacks. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you would look at this, that they're number 5 with 28 sacks, and you'd be like, oh man, that's great. They must be killing all these quarterbacks, but that's not what's happening. And to your point, it's because it's not consistent enough. These numbers right here, Cole Jackson put together, he went through pressures and sacks by person, both on the edge and the interior defensive line. Again, I don't think anybody's upset with Kyle Van Noy. Like, he's got 7 sacks, which is tied for 5th in the league. He's doing that while drinking from the fountain of youth. He's got 26 pressures, but that's ranked 25th. He's got a 12.3 win rate. That's ranked 47th. Okay. Odafe Owe, let's take a look at him. He's, in the past, we've always said, okay, he never finished with sacks, but he's good with pressures. Well, right now he's got 20 pressures, which is 38th in the league. His 5 sacks, 17th, which is, decent. 14% pass rush win rate. That's ranked 30th. Tavius Robinson, who's been coming on more recently, certainly in the last game, 13 pressures, which is 61st. 4 sacks, which is 33rd. He doesn't get as much opportunity, so you get it. Ngakwe, he's got 7 pressures, 97th, 2 sacks, 62nd, and then a 12.1% pass rush win rate at 50th. So Tavius Unique probably not getting as many opportunities as Kyle Van Noy and Odafe Owe, but listen, it's okay, but it's not great. It's not great. Okay, what about on the interior defensive line? And this is where you've just paid Nnamdi Madubuike after coming off of an all-pro year. He's got 28 pressures. That's ranked 7th. That's nice. Just 3 sacks, not like last year where he was finishing 18th. And he's got a 10.2% pass rush win rate, which is 41st. And this dude's taking on a lot of double teams. And it certainly hurts him that Michael Pierce has gone down. It hurts him that, there's not another person next to Kyle Van Noy, like a Clowney, who's also taking some pressure away, some of the double teams and all of that. Travis Jones has 13 pressures, 36th in the league, 1 sack, which is 56th, 10.6% pass rush win rate. And then Michael Pierce, he's on IR, so it's almost like, so the point is I feel like we are watching the games. And one moment you'll have this great sack, and to your point, Bobby, it's just not consistent enough. Because then all of a sudden, the next play, Jameis Winston is back there sipping on a pina colada and tearing you apart.
Yeah.
And so it's less about this stat right here that we all love to see of the, it's not moving up for me. Can I not control these? I don't know what just happened. There it goes. Okay. It's less about this. It's nice that you got the 28, but what are you doing in between those plays? What are you doing in between that's giving them so much room? And like I said, I'm glad he's taking it personal. I hope Odafe always taking it personal. I hope Zach Orr is taking it personal. I want everybody to take it personal because it needs to be more consistent.
Well, on top of that, too, I tend to believe that this number right here, 28, top 5 sack team, is a little bit inflated when 25% of that production is coming from one player, and that's Kyle. So
and there's also, and Bobby, as good as Kyle's been, it's not like there's like this absolute game wrecker like a TJ Watt or like what a Terrell Suggs was. And you know what I mean? Like, I love what Kyle Van Noy is doing, but I mean, the opposite side of him isn't doing enough.
The bottom line is they've been on a desperate search since the day that T. Sizz walked out of the building, right? It's been, can we find at least a fraction of what Terrell Suggs meant to our organization and the stress that he put on opposing offenses for years? And he'll be riding that into the Hall of Fame in Canton at some point soon. Let's get to some super chats as well. We've got 5 contestants so far, Sarah, that are in play here for today's homage giveaway to potentially be eligible for one of the t-shirts that Sarah's rocking today. Sherry Ramirez enters herself in. Keep killing it, guys. Hashtag the vault, which, oh, Sherry, we need
vault.
We need hashtag vault, not the vault. Got to look at the pinned comment that we have right there. Hashtag vault.
We
appreciate you. We do. DMV Nation says,
how about Sherry? Sherry gets to, oh, by the way, a few people accidentally put in hashtag vault without a super chat. If you guys could please delete those, that would be great so the software doesn't pick it up. But Sherry, if you just want to do a hashtag vault that's not a super chat, that'll get entered in for that, the super chat that you just did.
DMV Nation, as he so often does, just showing us love with no comment, no hashtag. We appreciate you. Diesel Doctor says, I'm hoping that Tre'Davious White, we're going to talk about him in just a minute, will be similar to Jadeveon Clowney, where he came in and rejuvenated his career. It was a depth move. The Browns game showed us that we needed cornerback depth that we didn't have. Hashtag vault. Max Julian says, Tavius Robinson is ahead of Owe as far as pressure rate with less snaps. We need more of Tavius. Hashtag vault. Gabe says, I think we need Owe's ceiling. I think we've seen, Owe's ceiling. He's not elite. Hashtag vault. Remember, they exercised his 5th-year option, so he's getting paid like a premier pass rusher, or at least an above-average pass rusher. Burtz says, speaking into existence, Nate Wiggins will get an interception tomorrow. Hopefully a W is also in that prediction, with Lamar extending his dominance against the Bengals. Hashtag vault. And Captain Hard says, hashtag vault. Man, I'm a little disappointed in EDC. Our grades of Eric DeCosta coming up in just a few short minutes. Scrimmage says, currently waiting to take the train from Philly to Baltimore for this game. Let's go. I'm from Canada and can't wait to watch MV3 do his thing. Hashtag vault.
Nice.
Scrimmage, dude, welcome in, man. Come to the Baltimore Around Town tailgate if you don't have any pregame plans. I would love to see you. And Evan says, wish we get more pressure up the middle. Last year, we had a lot of sacks from Queen and Rowe just running through the middle untouched. Hashtag vault. And Sarah, man, I feel like you've been on top of this, pointing it out. PQ, what you missed there is some of his pass rush, the way he knifed his way through the front, his vision, his closing speed, his physicality. They missed that a little bit, and maybe Trenton will evolve into that. But PQ, part of his all-pro season last year, Sarah, certainly was his versatility on those types of blitz packages.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels like Trenton should be, good at doing that, but he may need time, just like PQ did, to develop. But we sure did like that sack he got last week, which helped the Ravens close out a shutout in the second half in terms of points. But should we move on to what the Ravens did do? I mean, we started with what they didn't do yesterday, but what did they do?
Yes, and this is exactly that. The Rams sent cornerback Tre'Davious White and a 2027 7th rounder to the Ravens for a 2026 7th rounder. So very little given up here. A low risk, perhaps medium level kind of reward for Eric DeCosta in the front office. Tre'Davious is a 2-time Pro Bowler. He spent the majority of his career prior to this season in Los Angeles with the Buffalo Bills. And Sarah, he's 29. He's 13 months removed from an Achilles tear that ended his 2023 campaign. His injury history does have a little bit more than you would like, but hey, at 29, when you've been in the league for as long as he has, a lot of guys tend to fall victim to that. In November of 2021, he tore his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers so far in just 4 games with the Rams, because the last month he's been a healthy scratch after requesting a trade, requesting to be traded. The numbers prior to that really don't show a whole lot. You hope that, as some pointed out already, that a rejuvenated state can be realized when he gets to Baltimore. But I guess the big picture here is with Deontay Johnson last week, Sarah, and Tre'Davious White now, they gave up very little. I don't know what the gain will be. But as you mentioned, the conversation really has been surrounding not what the Ravens did do, but what they didn't do when it comes to pass rusher.
Yeah. So first of all, when this came through, Bobby, I laughed out loud when it was like a 2027 7th round pick for a 2026 7th round pick. This just screams that Tre'Davious White was like, please, Rams, will you please let me go? I got to go. Please let me go. Like, I want to go somewhere. I got to get out of here. I'm a healthy scratch. Please let me go somewhere. And the Rams are calling around. And then the Ravens are like, the perfect candidate, because they're like, well, you can never have enough corners. You know what I mean? And it's just like what's it going to hurt? What's it going to hurt to give up a 2026 7th round pick? I mean, it's absolutely a player for free. And there's obviously been injuries in the cornerback room, guys coming off and on our IR, coming off and on the injury report. So it's a former 2-time Pro Bowler. Have no clue at all what he can bring to the table. Keep expectations extremely low. But I just had a chuckle when I saw what the trade was for. You kind of went through his injury history, Bobby. I mean, he was playing, very well for the Bills, which is why he was a 2-time Pro Bowler. And then those injuries started to begin. Can you take us through all these injuries? It looks like there's quite a few here.
Yeah, honestly, I just mentioned the most notable ones, right? The fact that he's 13 months removed from the Achilles tear, and then in November of 2021, it was the ACL tear. So those are the big notable ones. The other ones are just football stuff, the concussions back in 2017 and 2018 when he came into the league. I will mention the numbers so far this year through 4 games for the Rams. Again, these are not pretty, okay? And this is maybe one of the reasons why you should temper expectations. But 133 coverage snaps. He was targeted 13 times, Sarah. He gave up 9 catches on those 13 targets for 151 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oof.
So he has lost a step, as any player would, given what he's dealt with. And based on some research that I did through a few Rams reporters, I think they had some regret based on some reports that they needed him as much as they did right out of the gate, meaning he's coming off the Achilles tear. We don't want to overuse this guy with the amount of NFL miles that he has on his tires if he's not fully ready to go. But they had depth issues in the secondary, and so they were forced to kind of overplay him based on what the maybe medical or at least the ideal case scenario to ramp him back up was. And so if there's something, I guess, to hang your hat on or be optimistic about, maybe the fact that it's November now and he's got some football underneath him. You would think he's had extra time to rehab over the last month throughout this trade request process. Maybe he's gotten himself right physically. It's a big maybe, and the numbers obviously prior to the trade request are tough to look at.
Right. Well, and what's also funny, Bobby, is we talked about what the Ravens didn't do. The other thing that they didn't do, which we talked about live yesterday, was there was reports that the Ravens were in on Marshawn Latimore. And that's been widely, I've seen it in The Athletic, Ian Rappaport, all this. And so it probably hurts the Ravens fans even more that Marshawn Latimore becomes the latest in the almost Raven team, which, because there's always reports that, which makes sense, right? Like Eric DeCosta is always calling around. That's what you want your GM to do. But it was just like more of a, oh, great, we ended up with Tre'Davious White when we were we could have had something bigger. But clearly the Ravens didn't want to give up as much as the Commanders did. The full trade for that was that New Orleans got Washington's a 3rd-round pick and a 4th-round pick. And then it got the 6th back from their John Ridgeway trade, which obviously not too privy to. That's what New Orleans gets. That's what Washington shipped over there. Then Washington got Marshawn Latimore plus a Saints 5th-round pick. So, that's not nothing, a 3rd and 4th rounder, which the Ravens clearly didn't want to give up.
Point being, yeah, exactly. To me, this was like, okay, we have a philosophy, a team building philosophy, draft compensation philosophy, the way we covet our picks. We have 11 of them. And we're willing to deviate sometimes. 2022 in season, you give up what, a 5th rounder for Roquan and take on, and obviously take on some money there. And then it was a market resetting extension the year following. I believe that's how that all shook out. So they are willing to deviate. This was not one of those times. And in an all-in year, I think this fan base has been left wanting more because of the numbers that we just shared, because of what's been their Achilles heel, because of the 4th quarter collapses, because of the island that a lot of their secondary has been put on because of the inconsistent pressure that opposing quarterbacks are under. And so as we probably transition here, Sarah, to grades, if you're ready to give those out to Eric DeCosta, what would your letter grade be?
Can you go first?
Yeah, I think I'm going C.
Okay.
I think I'm going C. And again, it's not about what they did. It's about what they didn't do. You're seeing up on the screen what they did. This is free, essentially.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson, who gives you depth, who gives you a slot ability, potential return specialist, depth, AFC North experience, proven route runner, man beater in coverage, all the things that we discussed last week. That's great.
Right.
And knock on wood, I hope that there's no injury, but if there is in the wide receiver room, you're a lot less thin than you would have been without him. And we've already discussed, sort of this low risk to medium level reward for Tre'Davious White. And so to me, you saw other teams get better in the pass rusher department, whether it be a rotational player like Preston Smith for Pittsburgh. I don't know how much of a game changer Josh Uche will be for Kansas City, but you saw your peers get better in the department that you felt like you could have improved upon as well. And Tre'Davious Smith, maybe that would have been blocked because of the in-division nature of it. But it's hard to walk away from this not feeling like it was a miss for the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm not far off from you. I'd probably go B- in terms of in-season trade grade. I think that Deontay was a pretty decent pickup. And maybe it proves to be nothing, but I just keep thinking, there's going to be a time where the Ravens have to play from behind, and he's going to be nice in 11 personnel.
Yeah.
And EDC only had to move back. We'll see when it's all said and done, anywhere I don't know, around 15, 20 spots. Sure. So I like that pickup. I feel like Tre'Davious White, I mean, like I said, it just seems like Rams were probably trying to unload him. And, we could give trades again at the end of the season, or give grades again at the end of the season.
Sure.
And if there's a bunch of injuries at cornerbacks, then maybe we'll be like, oh, maybe that ended up really saving the Ravens. Kind of like I remember Ronald Darby, that signing was just like, who's this guy? He's washed. Or even Arthur Millette, the very first time he was signed, it was like, what are the Ravens doing? Like they obviously need more help than that. So you can look back again when the season's over and regrade them. But I mean, you just got 2 players for free. So to me, that puts you in the B range, but I give it the B- because you did need to address the pass rush, in my view. That being said, the reason why I don't take it way far down is because, yes, maybe he could have had Marshawn Latimore, but as we said yesterday, we were both surprised when that report came up, because you're like, but that's not the need, right? And you're like, we're like, right, Stevens eventually is going to be gone, so you move Stevens to safety, and by the way, they could still move Stevens to safety or Marlin or whatever. And so to me, I would give DeCosta a really bad grade if I felt like there was a pass rusher available to him and he just didn't do it. But the Browns weren't going to trade Tre'Davious Smith here, and Tre'Davious Smith is really the only guy that was going to be like a needle mover. And I just don't believe that the Browns were like, yeah, I'm going to give him to the Ravens. Like they just don't do that. Like you might do in division trades for somebody like Tre'Davious White, right? But you're not doing it for one of the sole pass rushers that's even being shopped. And so then it's like, well, could he have gotten Calais Campbell? I don't know. It depends on who you want to believe in their reports. You know, some people are saying that EDC was calling for Calais, but that Miami really didn't want to trade him, so they put down a too big of an ask. I will say before it all went down, Drew Rosenhaus was like, no, Miami is not trading him. Like before even the trade line, like they're not giving him up. They do not want to. Like they still feel like they're in on the playoffs. And so then there were reports on Azeez Ojulari, and it sounded like the Giants were happy to keep him. And they're like, we're doing it at our price. And it sounded like they wanted to do a second day pick. And do I think that Eric DeCosta should have given a third rounder for him? I do not. Fourth rounder? I don't know, maybe. But Zadarius Smith, who probably is a bigger needle mover, went for less than that. So if you wanted him to overpay, not you, but if you're a person that wanted EDC to overpay for Azeez Ojulari, because that to me is the only guy that maybe was available, I just don't know that he would have moved the needle enough for you to overpay for him. So I give him a B- because he wasn't able to get it done, but I don't like completely, fail him because I just don't know that the opportunity was there.
Let us know what your draft grades are. Let us know what your in-season trade grades, now that the deadline is passed, are for Eric DeCosta and this Ravens front office. As you guys know, we have been working with Homage, which is a NFL, WNBA, MLB, you name it, merch site. Homage gives you a little bit of everything. And as you're seeing on the screen right now, there's a ton of different Ravens gear that's available to you. I know I have this crew neck right here, definitely somewhere.
I got that one too.
Somewhere in the closet as well. And so, as you guys can see, Sarah is rocking one of the t-shirts that is going to be up for today's giveaway. And in order to be eligible for a free Homage t-shirt, all you have to do is subscribe to the Vault, like this video, leave a super chat with the hashtag Vault, not the Vault, but hashtag Vault, and click on the link that we have included as a pinned comment in the live chat. If you want to be eligible for this, if you want to get involved and become a contestant and you're on Twitter, pop on over to YouTube. But here's what's going on Homage, by the way, on a week that the Ravens play on Thursday Night Football. They are doing a flash sale in honor of Week 10 coming up tomorrow night. It's going to be 20% off all NFL items from 6 p.m. Eastern to midnight tomorrow. So again, this is in honor of Thursday Night Football. Some exclusions do apply, but it's going to be 20% off the majority of NFL items site-wide from 6 p.m. Eastern to midnight. Sarah, there's also some brand new Homage times starter parka jackets, which is launching this week. There are no Ravens specifics, but if you're in the market for a holiday gift, a birthday, Christmas, whatever, and maybe you're gifting whoever your significant other is or family member likes a different team, there's 13 other teams that will apply. So that could be a good option for you. And how have you been enjoying your new merch haul that you got?
Like I've loved all of it. I mean, I had Derrick Henry Angry Runs the first week on, then I had a throwback to Ed Reed, which you can see right there on the screen, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and now I'm sporting Lamar Jackson. And there's more to come. There's more to come. But basically, if you win this, you get to choose from any of these t-shirts that will be sent out to you for free.
Official licensing across the NFL, NBA, WNBA, MLB, MLS, pop culture properties, you name it. It's got a vintage, like retro feel to it. That's what I enjoy about their products, about their merch. And let's get through some super chats so that because we have 26 contestants thus far who, because of the super chat, because of following the instructions, are potentially in play here for a Homage t-shirt. Let's see who's the latest.
Before you get to them, I saw Sherry asked if she finally got it right. Sherry, you are now officially in. You've got the hashtag Vault. I saw a lot of people explaining to Sherry how she had to do it, and you put hashtag Vault in there that was not a super chat, thank you for your help. If you could go back and delete that so you're not weighing down the software or putting yourself in contention to win, we would appreciate that. If you don't, I might have to delete them myself, but I think it'd be better if you just deleted it yourself.
The following subscribers are now in the running for a free homage t-shirt. Tila, what's up, Tila? Hashtag Vault with some purple and black hearts. Next Gen Retro says the concern is how much we overvalue draft picks. 11 picks and not one used for a premier solidified player. Hashtag
Was there a premier solidified player available to the Ravens?
TY says appreciate y'all. Hashtag Vault. Wildlife Wale says Stevens can play safety, but Marlin has no experience there. It's not that easy of a switch. Remember what Jimmy Smith said about the switch? Hashtag Vault. Laura says I feel a beatdown coming on Thursday. Hashtag Vault. Deshaun Davis says I feel like the Ravens are wasting their time with Lamar. If not last year, this year, then when? Hard to feel good about this season. Still 6-3, Deshaun.
And with the number one offense, I feel good about the season. Yeah.
James Lee Wiley says EDC is not going to overpay for any player that doesn't move the needle. Hashtag Vault. Kane is the name. With this trade deadline fumble and the election, I'm in need of a distraction. Let's just get into the Bobby Bachelor and Madison Chronicles. Hashtag Vault. Another layer was added to the Chronicles last night.
What?
Back-to-back FaceTimes. Madison wanted to FaceTime, and I obliged. We had a nice little hour plus long.
Oh my gosh.
Mid-election type, elections up on election coverage up on the TV. Hers is there. I'm there. We're just chatting it up. Yeah. Captain Hard says, is there a pass rusher that's a free agent we might not be thinking about? Kane is the name. Drop in a super chat donation. Jermaine Sawyer says, may this defense play the rest of the season like Bobby Boucher hearing you say water sucks night and day. Okay, there's my prayer. LOL. Hashtag Vault. If you know, you know. Bobby Boucher. I hope they do get mad, get ticked for the rest of the season, play angry, but I maintain we got a great offense.
Yeah.
Need timely defense, not shutdown defense. Hashtag Vault. Jemmy93 says, guess we're looking to outscore teams with the lack of addressing our glaring pass rusher issue. Pretty disappointed, but can only hope we get the job done. Hashtag Vault. Sam says, revenge game round 2 on that drunk Cincinnati lady. Hashtag Vault. You all remember her from the restaurant in Cincinnati, Lamar and Zay.
There's really been no follow-up with that. I do wonder where she is now.
Spencer says, love that El Freaky shirt and love the show. I do believe all the chatter about the defense or lack thereof will at least motivate the defense. If that translates to results on the field, that remains to be seen. Hashtag Vault. No Way DJ says, Tre'Davious White means a change for one of our corners. 2 free safeties. Hashtag Vault. Jay Griffin says, hashtag Vault. Hashtag Baltimore Blackbirds. Hashtag 50 letters isn't enough. Thor says, did they deliver my t-shirt to Iceland?
That's a good question. They didn't tell us there was any restrictions to U.S. only, so I assume they can.
Stay tuned. But Thor, if you win, we will get down to the bottom of it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll meet me in Sweden next month if the answer's a no, and I'll bring it to you.
Oh, there you go. Delivery to Iceland. I like it.
No. He's got to meet me in Stockholm. I never said I'm going to Iceland. Oh, wait a second. No, my layover's in Iceland. Come meet me at the airport, Thor. Sit Lily. How hopeful are you that the defense will get it together? Hashtag Vault.
Depends on what you mean by together.
To use John Harbaugh's words, I'm very hopeful.
I'm pretty hopeful. I don't think they're going to be what the last person said. I don't think they're going to be a shutdown defense, but they could turn into an opportunistic defense.
Okay. Yeah. Evan says, wish we got more pressure up the middle. Last year, we had a lot of sacks from Queen and Rowe, just running through the middle untouched. Yes, we did. We've got 39 of you so far that have entered into the contest. Full transparency here. I don't know if Jay Morrison is joining us for the Bengals perspective, so that would be a bummer. But unless I call him live, I'm not sure what he's up to. But Brandon says, to answer that last guy's question, there is a pass rusher out there sitting on his couch. His name is Aaron Donald in retirement. By the way, congratulations to Big Baby, former Ravens nose tackle Brandon Williams, who officially retired a Raven yesterday. Juicebox_J84 says #Vault, make Baltimore bullies again, right? Not a Fan says, blows my mind how fans are never happy. Calling the trade deadline a fumble is crazy. We have a contending roster, period. #Vault. Afterlife Omega says, equitable trade value shouldn't be the priority. Hard to believe you can't move an
Safety
S-tier rusher. Safety tier
top,
rusher.
Top tier? I don't know.
With multiple first-day picks. Mert28 says, I'm mad that we could have sent a 6th to beat out the Steelers, 7th to get and steal from Pittsburgh, Preston Smith from Green Bay. Not the best, but it's pass rush. #Vault. He's going to be a rotational player for them. Dr. Ryan Freeze says, yesterday was an upsetting day for many fans in Maryland. No blue wave and no purple splash in free agency. #Vault. Asmodeus says, I know I said groomsman, but I can also be the officiant. Let's go. Richard's in the house.
He's got you married, bro.
I love Richard. I got a soft spot for Richard. Matthew says, in EDC, I will trust. #Vault. Habitual line stepper says we overpaid for Roquan. I remember giving up a second-round pick. Oh, I'm sorry. I said 5th earlier on. They gave up a 2nd for him. That's my mistake. They gave up a 2nd for him in season.
I don't think he overpaid for Roquan.
They weren't saying that last year, and they weren't saying that in 2022 when he saved them, Habitual.
Yeah.
Trade grade equals C+. #Vault. Again, my mistake there. They gave up a 2nd for Roquan in 2022, not a 5th. Corey Copeland says, always love the show. #Vault. Asmodeus says, what's good, y'all? Any free agents we can bring in for edge? Ooh, that'd be a hard no. Not this time of year. Unless you want to convince somebody else. Unless you want to convince somebody else that, or like somebody else said, that Aaron Donald's your guy and you need him off the couch. Ravens RVA says, y'all's takes have been on point since Lamar signing frenzy in 2023. Refusing to panic and trusting our guys is what the #Vault does. Thank you. Wildlife says, White brings good depth experience. J.A. Davis is a liability. Jalen Armour Davis. #Vault. Bosef says, bend not break. #Vault. And we are fully caught up to speed.
Why don't we do this? Why don't you let me review Brandon Williams' retirement, and I might, and if time needs to be, I can also move into Jeff Driebeck's MidSeason Awards. You can mute yourself and give Jay a call because it was meant for today at 12:30. Yes,
I'm going to give him a call.
Okay, you give him a call, and I will jump into this. So, it was probably one of the worst days to choose to feature Brandon Williams' retirement. I kind of felt bad for him because all the media was focused on this Thursday night game, plus the trade deadline, who the Ravens got, who the Ravens didn't get, Lamar Jackson not being at practice, yada, yada, yada. And on this day of this big news day, Brandon Williams officially retires a Raven. So at the press conference, they kind of bring him in. And I just don't even feel like fans could really celebrate it because they were so upset about not getting a pass rusher in trade. But I do want to celebrate it. Brandon Williams wanted to officially retire a Raven, drafted by the Ravens. The team announced it. Obviously, as they say, once a Raven, always a Raven. What's funny is when I didn't know it was coming. And so when John Harbaugh was finishing up the press conference, he was like, okay, now I want to bring in a guy. And, he looks good, this and that. He's like, Brandon Williams. And I was like, what's this for? And I'm like, wait a minute. Can Brandon still jump in? Can Brandon, this interior defensive line is banged up. Brandon, come out of retirement. But he looked a little bit slim. Did he look slim to you, Bobby?
Super slim. He looked amazing. I was so happy for him. I love Big Baby. And Jay Morrison, Bengals beat reporter, will be joining us in just a moment.
Okay, cool. So anyway, just want to give love to him. He said that, obviously it's where he started. He wanted to come back. He wanted Baltimore to be in his heart and be a part of Baltimore forever. So much love to him. Appreciate all he did all those years, clogging the middle, helping the Ravens be #1 in rush defense. But my favorite part is they asked him, Bobby, this was hilarious. They asked him what his most memorable experience was. He gave 2, but I thought he was going to give a certain win or a certain play or whatever. No, this was his most memorable moment as a Baltimore Raven. Hey! Absolute classic.
Look at him. Look at the big fella.
Look at him. He was so much slimmer, Bobby. So much slimmer when we saw him yesterday. So just wanted to give him his due. He's officially retired a Raven. He's off with his family and transitioning into that part of his life. I wish he could come back and play rush defense for the Ravens right now, but much love to him, and I'm happy that he got his retirement day.
He's got a big heart. I'm happy too. I'm not happy that it happened literally right as the deadline was coming down to the wire. Like, I wish he would have gotten more time for the fan base to truly be like in tune with what was going on. I think a lot of people kind of came up for air as they saw him and they saw his new figure, his new physique. So anyway, enjoy retirement, big baby. Hopefully we'll have him on the show to celebrate. As promised, Jay Morrison, who covers the Bengals, he's a beat reporter. You can check out his work on X or Twitter at by Jay Morrison. He's a friend of the show. We've had him on before and ahead of Thursday Night Football in this rematch. He joins us right now inside the vault. Jay, great to see you again. And we always like to start with, and then of course these two teams have seen each other. It was a barn burner for sure, just a few weeks back. But entering Week 10, the state of the Bengals in your mind is what? And I guess where are desperation levels right now, given the slow start?
Yeah, I don't know about desperation, urgency. Absolutely, it feels if they win this game, it's huge, and you're saying that this is most likely a playoff team. If they lose it, yeah, maybe most likely not, but they're not out of it. It really feels like this is going to come down to the Chargers and the Broncos game, because you have all these teams that are at the top of the AFC. You have all these really bad teams at the bottom. You really have 9 teams battling for 7 spots, and it feels as though the Bengals and the Broncos and Chargers are going to be in the mix for that number 6, number 7 wild card spot, and those head-to-head games would be huge. But if they win this, all of a sudden they're 2-1 in the division. They're right there with Baltimore. Maybe the feeling's the same in Baltimore as it is in Cincinnati. The Steelers are kind of doing this with smoke and mirrors, and you wonder how long that's sustainable. So it is a huge game for sure, and we kind of saw it. The importance of this game. Sunday, they have one of their best games against a bad team in the Raiders. Joe Burrow throws 5 touchdowns, and he comes in spitting nails into the post-game press conference. He was not a happy guy. He was making it known to everybody on that team, we're not celebrating this. It's on to Baltimore. Get your bodies right. Get ready to go Thursday night. That's the game that matters.
Jay, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. What would you say? It's only been like a couple weeks since these two teams have met. I feel like it already feels like it's been an eternity. I know the Ravens have certainly evolved since that game. What do you think has been different for the Bengals? Like, what have they evolved into since the last time these two teams met? Or how have they changed? How have they gotten better?
I think the biggest difference is that the defense has a lot of their pieces back. They were missing a lot of guys early in the season. It was the next week, week 6, when they got the whole complement of that defensive line back. We haven't really seen the product of that. Yeah, they played well against the Giants. Yes, they played well against the Browns, but those are the Giants and the Browns. Against good offenses, they've yet to put out a good defensive performance. So that's going to be the real tell here on Thursday night is can they slow this Ravens offense down? They gave up 41 in that game, but you go back and you think about that game. I mean, the holder drops a field goal snap in overtime. If that doesn't happen and Evan McPherson makes that kick, we're talking about a Bengals team that's won 5 out of 6. They're ahead of the Ravens in the stadium, in the standings right now. The entire narrative is totally different based on one dropped field goal snap. So they are there. They're on the cusp, but we just haven't seen this defense, now healthy, really put together a good performance against a good team. 2 weeks ago against the Eagles, they give up 37. Looked a lot like what happened against Baltimore, looked a lot like what happened against Washington. So I think there's a lot of hope in these young guys on defense. They're going to start progressing and coming together as a unit. You just haven't seen it yet.
Jay, you have a piece up on SI.com that I was just taking a look at. And according to the referee report, the NFL's flag happiest, as you put it, flag happiest crew will be working Bengals Ravens tomorrow night. And as you see, if you guys are watching us on YouTube or Twitter right now, in the penalty ranking category, that will be advantage based on the statistics side of things through 9 weeks. That will be advantage Cincinnati. What have you learned about the officiating matchup going into Thursday night?
Yeah, so it's Clete Blakeman. I do this every week, so it's not just a one. Every week I do a referee report, and I look at where this week's referee ranks in terms of most penalties, most penalty yards, and then I run down all the games he's worked with the Bengals in the past, because the Bengal fans love to hate certain referees. Ron Torbert is right up there. He did the Super Bowl loss. The following year, he did the AFC Championship game loss. And it's not just because they lost those games. There were major flag or ruling issues in those games. And so it's just, I think it's a piece that Bengal fans like to read to see who the referee is. Clete Blakeman and his crew, 16.3 penalties per game, 142.5 penalty yards per game. And you're right. It's not just this year. The Bengals, ever since Zach Taylor got here, have been one of the least penalized teams in terms of flags and yardage. But nobody wants to see a game like that. You even if you don't have a rooting interest and you're watching a game and it's just flag after flag, it's hard to watch. It's just so disjointed. And hopefully Clete's gotten a talking to from the league and needs to get that number down a little bit.
The last thing we need, and with a awesome Thursday night game that's about to come down, it does not need to be spoiled by a bunch of flags.
No.
Jay, in terms of injuries, we've been hearing that Tee Higgins has been missing. Looks like Orlando Brown Jr. returned to practice. What do you think Tee Higgins' status is, and is there anybody else that we should know of that could miss the game?
Yeah, it doesn't look good for T. We were talking to Jamar yesterday, and he said he was answering a question. And he said something about not having T, and then he kind of caught himself and he said, "Or last minute decision." It doesn't. This would be the third game in a row he's missed with this quad. He missed 2 with the hamstring to start the season, so he has a history of these soft tissue injuries. It is a big game. It always felt like they held him out last week, hoping he would be ready this week, but it just doesn't look good. Even last night at practice, he was on the stationary bike, but he wasn't really going at it and pedaling hard and trying to get loosened up. So it doesn't look good for him. It does. I think things are better for Orlando Brown Jr. Last week was the first game he's missed in his entire career due to injury. That one definitely felt like a game where they held him out of the Raiders game, hoping he'd be ready for this one. As far as anybody else, you see it on there. Eric All, the rookie tight end, Zach Moss, they put those guys on IR earlier this year. Huge loss. Eric All, if you look at his stats, you think, it's not that big of a deal. He is at the center of the transformation of this Bengals offense. They were always one of the leading 11 personnel teams in the league since Zach Taylor got here, and they ripped it up, and they've been going with a lot of 12 personnel, the 2 tight end looks. They're running the ball better this year, and it's because Eric All is a two-way threat at that, and he was so good in the run blocking. So that's going to be a major issue, not having him for the first time this week. And then Zach Moss, too, that only leaves Chase Brown behind, one running back. They just traded for Khalil Herbert yesterday. They're saying maybe he plays Thursday night. Joe Burrow's like, hey, he's going to be standing right next to me. Even if he doesn't know the offense, I can tell him what to do. So that's a little bit of a dicey situation. Geno Stone returning to Baltimore. I even though he's limited there, I think he's going to play. I don't know anybody else is really in trouble of missing this game. Maybe BJ Hill because he hasn't practiced, but they're making it sound like it's not as bad as they initially thought, and he is kind of at the heart of that defensive line, one of their 2 starting defensive tackles.
We're joined by Bengals beat reporter Jay Morrison, friend of the show, making his return here ahead of Thursday Night Football, giving us the Cincinnati perspective. Jay, and the first time these 2 teams met, since he held Derrick Henry in check until overtime, as we all remember, 15 carries for 92 yards, and that 51-yard burst that set things up in overtime for the Ravens to eventually win that game, courtesy of a Justin Tucker chip shot. What's the defensive attack going up against 22 this time around, and how did they do it? And how healthy are they as we look at the injury report as of early this week, or I guess as of Tuesday afternoon, up front as they try to tackle the King?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were just talking about this on our podcast because it feels, no matter if you play well and win or you lose or whatever the situation, when these divisional games, the coaches always want to rip up the game plan from the first time around. It's like, we have to do something different. I don't know that they do. Now that they did something different in the first game, Lou Anarumo blitzed 44% of the time. And that wasn't straight pass blitzes. A lot of it was run blitzes. Just flood the backfield with bodies. Even if Derrick Henry makes a guy miss or runs a guy over in the backfield, you slow that momentum down. He's a guy, you guys are well aware, his size, his speed. Once he gets going, he's hard to bring down. So if you can slow him hitting the hole down by putting bodies in the backfield, you do a good job. 41 yards through regulation, and then he gets the 51 in overtime. So I think we'll see some more of that. Maybe a part of that being so Lou normally blitzes about 22-23% of the time. So we're talking about 100% increase against Baltimore last game. And maybe part of that too was because the defensive line was so banged up. And so they were trying to get more pressure. But just the way this defense is playing, it feels like they have to be aggressive and take some chances. If they can just get a Lamar to turn it over once or twice, I think they feel good about scoring against the Ravens. It's a matter of, can they stop them? And if the Ravens are going to score anyhow, if you sit back, why not blitz? Why not try to push the issue? And why not try to create a turnover? And, oh, by the way, get some people around Derrick Henry's feet in the backfield and slow that attack down as well.
Yeah, this definitely feels more like both teams have the same feeling, like we can score, but can we stop the other side?
Yeah.
Do you feel like Joe Burrow kind of has something to prove, especially with the way it ended when he threw the interception to Marlon Humphrey? I mean, he was just on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like him in the end. Maybe it was how the route was ran and all that kind of stuff, but it was him who in the end gave it back to Baltimore. They finally got a stop at the end. And it also felt like the Bengals kind of got a little conservative down the stretch. Do you think that sticks in their minds of how that game ended and how they might be different with a different approach on offense going into this?
Yeah, Zach really got hammered for that, for the conservative approach, and he admitted it was not the right way to go. It's not the first time he's done that, and I know Bengal fans would like for him not to say I shouldn't have done that so often, but it is refreshing to hear a coach do that. As far as Burrow, yeah, I think any interception sticks in his craw. I think that was part of the reason he was so angry after Sunday's game against the Raiders. Yeah, he threw 5 touchdowns, but he also threw a pick 6. And I think he was beating himself up a little bit over that as well. But, chip on the shoulder, anything like that, I think all that goes out the window. It is a division game. It's a division game in prime time. It's a division game basically with your season on the line. I think that is going to be the big focus, regardless of anything that happened in the past. They are solely focused on trying to get this win Thursday night.
Can you catch us up to speed on this Jermaine Burton situation? I know he was drafted in the 3rd round back in April out of Alabama. He's a rookie. How much of a distraction is this internally? I know there's some folks like Hilton, some veterans speaking on it. Is it a distraction? What happened in the first place, and where do Cincy go from here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a distraction. A lot of people were upset about it. So for people not up to speed, he's barely been used, and part of it's been maturity, professionalism, learning the offense, all that. He's been getting a handful of snaps. He finally gets a game where he has 24 snaps because Tee Higgins is out, and they didn't know T was going to be out on that game until Friday. So last week they knew T probably wasn't going to play. They made Jermaine Burton a big part of their package for this game against the Raiders. Shows up late on Friday, and they're like, well, we need him. We still got to play him. Saturday, no shows. No show, no call. Last practice of the week, they were fed up. They made him inactive for the game. They needed him in that game. They made him inactive. It's kind of run the gamut. You mentioned the Mike Hilton comments. Nobody's going to baby you anymore. You need to grow up and be a pro. Other guys are saying, hey, we want to be here for him. We want to help him along. But it did not sit well. And I don't know how you can trust that guy again. Yeah, they're going to need him if Tee Higgins doesn't play. But can you stick him out there and trust that? I mean, is he even showing up for the airport today? Is he going to get on the plane to fly to Baltimore this week? And if he does, if he's on the field, can you trust him to run the right plays? And I don't know. A guy in this situation, yeah, you don't want to throw him away, but I think they need to roll it a little bit slower with him. And that's what Joe Burrow's all about. He's had guys released from this team before because he didn't have that trust factor. They weren't running the right routes. And I don't know. Even if they play him, I don't know if Joe's going to trust him enough to throw the ball to him.
Well, Jay, we know you're always busy covering the team. So unless, Bobby, you have anything else, I'll finish up with this. The biggest matchup that you're going to be watching and your prediction.
So I guess the biggest matchup I'll be watching is one, what the Ravens defense does against Jamar, because it totally changes with no T in there. And are they just dead set on taking him away? And I think that'll open up Mike Gesicki and some other people. And then what the Bengals defense do, Lou Anarumo against Lamar Jackson, so to speak. How much does he pressure him? How much do they blitz? That's going to be the most interesting matchup for me. We just did this on our podcast. We did the predictions, and I think it's going to look a lot like week 5. High scoring, back and forth, lead changes, sad Bengal fans at the end of the game. I've got Baltimore 35, Cincinnati 34.
Okay, and that would really kind of put their postseason hopes hanging in the balance, right?
Yeah.
Jay Morrison covers the Bengals for SI.com, BengalsTalk.com. Anything else that you'd like to promote, you can be found on Twitter or X @ByJayMorrison. What else you got going on?
Yeah, I mentioned the podcast a couple of times. I do a podcast with Paul Dehner Jr. from The Athletic. We have one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and then we do one immediately when games end. So cover all kinds of things on there. Have a really interesting conversation with Andrew Whitworth on today's podcast that just dropped a little bit ago earlier today. He's obviously on the Amazon crew that'll be doing the pregame studio show or the on-field show tomorrow night. So even if you're a Ravens fan, Andrew Whitworth is a very interesting guy, and he has a lot of interesting things to say about the Bengals and the way that organization is run now and when he was there.
Awesome, Jay. We appreciate the time. Enjoy it. I assume you're coming out to Baltimore. If you are, safe travels, and hope to do it again down the line.
All right, thanks. Good talking to you guys.
Thanks,
Absolutely. Jay Morrison for the Bengals perspective, Sarah, and a Ravens win according to his prediction. Time for ours.
Yeah, time for ours. Well, it's funny because he literally stole my exact prediction score. So maybe I'll switch it up just to be different or whatever. But I agree with him. I think it's going to be another shootout. I mean, well, look, it could be both defenses could surprise us, right? Like maybe they're going to be like, you know what? I'm sick of people talking about us, yada, yada, yada. But I just have a hard time seeing Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson slow down. When he said, that they might be more aggressive and go after Lamar this time, I think by halftime they will change that approach because Lamar Jackson has been so good against the blitz. He's been so good. He's a different animal this year in terms of like going to the line with the pre-snap reads, knowing where he wants to go with the ball. Like if Jay Morrison had said that, 1 or 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh shoot, don't know that the Ravens have an answer for that. But between the Ravens screen game and what they've been doing with Justice Hill when they blitz, Lamar, like I said, his pre-snap reads, it just doesn't make you as nervous as it once did. And I just feel like at home, Thursday night, Lamar Jackson during primetime regular season games often shows out. And I really do think that missing Tee Higgins hurts the Bengals. It does make things much easier on the Ravens defense. They still have their young number 80 or 81, their young guy whose name I'm forgetting, who's been ascending. But he's exactly right. Like the Ravens can focus on Jamar Chase and then make other people beat him. I'm a little bit nervous about the tight end situation, given what the linebackers have been doing. So that's why it's still going to be a high scoring game. But I do think that the Ravens at home, primetime, Thursday night, new alternate jerseys, all that kind of plays into it. Crowd behind you. I was going to say 35, 30, 34. I mean, it's still in that area. What, 33, 31? Both in the 30s, but the Ravens come out with it.
Under John Harbaugh, for whatever it's worth, the Ravens are unbeaten on Thursday night at home. 8-0 under John Harbaugh, Thursday Night Football at home. This is a Bengals team, as I tried to set Jay up off the top, that I felt like, and he used a different word. He used they have a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
I used desperation. because that's what I think they're going to be playing with on Thursday night, which is why I have them beating the Ravens and splitting the regular season series 30-28. They're 4-5 right now, Sarah. They need this game if they want to be in the playoff picture. Is it an absolute necessity from a mathematics standpoint? No. But here's why I think they get the game. I don't trust what's happening in the interior part of the Ravens defensive line right now.
Mm-hmm.
And while the Bengals rushing attack doesn't scare you,
Well, especially because they're going to have a new guy that they just traded for a day ago.
They will.
It's more than not scaring you. Are they going to be able to put something together?
They're going up against practice squad elevations in the interior part of the Ravens defensive line that I think potentially could be there again in Chris Wormley and Josh Tupou. You've got no big Mike Pierce, the run stuffer specialist, for the next few weeks. Brent Urban remains in concussion protocol, barring something unforeseen changing between now and Thursday Night Football. And we know Travis Jones has been banged up, and they're trying to get that ankle back to where they need to be. I don't trust this pass defense. Jamar Chase lit them up for a $193, and while the Tee Higgins presence is notable, I don't fully trust this secondary yet, and I really don't trust them to bring pressure and make Joe Burrow uncomfortable. And if you keep him in the pocket and you allow him time to survey the field, he will kill you. And so I'm going 30-28 in a game that the Bengals need Thursday night.
Let me tell you why Jay is correct and you are wrong. I'm just joking. But seriously, about desperation versus urgency. I hear what you're saying within the division, but you really got to look at who they're competing with in the conference. And, the Jets are still behind them. They're right there with the Colts. The Broncos are right there too. The Broncos play the Chiefs. Like, it's not going to be an end-all be-all for them. Like, I still think they'll be right in the middle of the AFC standings. So I think that's why he's saying, urgency, but not desperation.
Sure.
So, but to your point, they're going to be motivated. They're definitely going to be motivated. And the Ravens have no shortage of motivation either. They've got no shortage of it, especially on defense. And so I just have more faith in the Ravens offense because they have, I was going to say all their pieces. We'll see about Isaiah Likely. Outside of him, they have all their pieces. They have a run game that's like unstoppable right now. They have a play action game off of that running attack that is almost unstoppable right now. In fact, I've got a video of Orlovsky kind of pointing that out. I just think that the Ravens offense is going to be more automatic than the Bengals, given that Tee Higgins is likely to be out and they're bringing in a new running back that they just got yesterday.
Here's more primetime numbers. John Harbaugh's 21-3 record. That's an NFL best. 875 winning percentage in primetime home games. He's 8-0 at home on Thursday Night Football, as I mentioned. Lamar is 9-1 in home primetime games, including 2-0 on Thursday Night Football. In terms of the game itself, Purple rises at 8 o'clock. The halftime show, Chase Rice, if you're into country music, that'll be awesome. Legend of the game is the aforementioned Brandon Williams, Big Baby, who just retired as a Raven. Parking lots open at 3:45. Ravens walk 5:15. The gates to the bank, 6:15. You already know where I'm going to be pregame at the Be More Around Town. Tailgate, 801 West Austin Street. I would love to see you guys there. And who knows, maybe there will be a guest appearance virtually from Madison.
Before we go into quick hits, should we give everybody one last chance, kind of reminder? We'll do, after quick hits, we will do our giveaway. So if you want any more super chats, put those in with hashtag Vault. Make sure you're subscribed to the show and that you also have liked this video. So now's your final chance to get entries in.
Yep, final call. Jang says, let's send Cincy to Cabo. Hashtag Vault. BG Method says, classic. Always makes my day. Suggs, Hall of Fame. Ravens for life. Lamar, Zay, and Henry are going to have to pull off their best Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt, and Marshall Faulk. The greatest show on turf imitation. If we're going to win the Super Bowl, hashtag Vault. Pinky says, I hate Thursday games. Just asking for injuries. Hashtag Vault. Kendrick says, Bobby B, he's not a player. B, he crush. He's a crush.
But he crush a lot.
But he crushed a lot. Hashtag.
So you don't play
ball.
girls, but you get lots of crushes.
All right, Kendrick.
Is that on point, do you think?
Bobby B, he's not a... Yeah, maybe.
You're not a player.
No.
But you're looking.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah.
I think we're fully caught up to speed. Ravens RVA, y'all's takes have been on point. Yep, we're fully caught up to speed. So that's the last call. Get your super chats in between now and less than 5 minutes when we will pick a winner randomly, which is exactly what you guys asked for when we first started this last month.
Speaking of the unstoppable play action game, Dan Orlovsky broke it down very nicely in this video.
This is so well done by Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense. Everything that you want in a pass game. Balance, rhythm, timing, anticipation, understanding. It's this. Their play action pass game right now is almost unstoppable. It's so consistent, both by scheme and by Lamar's execution. So they're in there, it's either 12 or really 21 personnel. They've got Andrews on the field, but then Ricard, are you treating him as a tight end, treating him as a fullback, and then obviously Derrick Henry. Slot up top, they start Zay inside and they motion him outside, okay? Number one, I love the ball fake between Lamar and Derrick Henry. That looks like run. You're trying to get these guys to step up for a second, okay? And then number two, you have clear distribution by their pass game. You run vertical, your job, run through the near safety and just run through his inside shoulder, clear him out. Zay, get your depth and just roll into this in route. And then there's Derrick Henry. So you're trying to make sure that you pull that underneath coverage. And then this underneath coverage is one of two things. Lamar's ball fake, and then Lamar holding his eyes vertical to create that space there. You want that ball completed before he gets past that backer, okay? Now, really focusing on Lamar here, okay? Couple things. One, the one hitch at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hitch. The ball has to come out, okay? There's rhythm, there's timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hitch, ball out. Lovely. The second thing is, and you really get a great appreciation from it from this angle, all right? I want you to see what he does with his eyes right after the fake, yet still getting them to the receiver in time, okay? See where his eyes are? His eyes are trying to straighten 55 up. If he's looking here right now, he's going to drift, okay? You're just trying to hold to make sure that space is vacated, okay? Make sure that space is vacated. Watch how he holds and just watch his head at the last second. See? See that last second right there? All doing that one hitch. That's so good, man. You don't think that matters? It's so good. Their play action, man. It is clicking for Baltimore's offense.
Love it. Love it. Just from the drop back, the fake to Henry, where your head is, where your eyes are, last minute coming back, the design of the play from Todd Monken, where he's getting people to clear out, Zay running the right route, Lamar dropping it right in. I mean, it's just absolutely perfect, and it's all set up by one Derrick Henry and that rushing attack. And then, Bobby, I mentioned this yesterday, the throw to Zay Flowers, the touchdown throw, and how Lamar was following through like a three-point shooter, like just a deadly three-point shooter. I mentioned it yesterday, but I had to bring in the screen grab today. Look at that. He was feeling it right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a thing of beauty. Look at these guys. But the timing, the rhythm, the cadence of what Dan Orlovsky's getting at. You got to love it. And probably why Jeff Sarebek has some awards that he's divvying out here on The Athletic, right?
No, not awards. These are predictions. Predictions by season's end. So Jeff had to put together a bunch of predictions by midseason, what will happen by the end of the season. So get your reaction on some of these. Number one, he predicts that Lamar will indeed win his third MVP. You agree? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Huh?
That's low-hanging fruit right there.
Okay, low-hanging fruit. Okay, here we go. Ravens and Zay Flowers get their first homegrown wide receiver to make the Pro Bowl. Remember, Zay Flowers ranks number 5 in receiving yards right now. He's number 1 since week 5. He's been going off. Has himself plenty of touchdowns, has some wow plays. What do you think?
I think
Pro
that's
Bowler?
trending towards a wise bet.
Okay, I like it. This one, remember the other day I was saying how it's going to be close to get to 2,000. Like Derek's already over 1,000, but he's trending just under 2. And so Jeff predicts that he will fall short of 2,000 yards, but has the second best rushing season in franchise history. What do you think here?
I actually kind of hope that happens. The less workload that he takes on through the second half means you're going to get more Derrick Henry once it matters in January.
I hear you, and that's wise, but I'm also a little greedy because part of the reason why Derrick has so many yards is because he keeps getting like these 30-yarders, then 50-yarder, then 40. You know what I mean? He just breaks off them here and there. But to your point, not only might they want to save him so he's not worn down, but also Keaton Mitchell's about to come back.
Yeah.
And so it's like you got 3 different backs who can for real help you. So there's another part of me, Bobby, because of the way Derrick has been in the last few games, along with Todd Monken, whenever he's been close to say like 100-yard game, or he's been close to like, he's run the ball to maybe the goal line, but didn't quite get in. And then like, well, let's give it back to him. Let him finish it off. There's a part of me that feels like they've been wanting to help him hit these milestones. And remember, he said he felt sick. What was it for? He had just missed a milestone. Oh, he was just under 200 yards against the Cowboys. And he said he's going to be sick forever because of it. Like, I kind of feel like Derrick wants the 2,000. I think he thinks he can get the 2,000 and still run his butt off in the playoffs.
Oh, of course he wants it.
Yeah. Oh, he wants it. So
No doubt.
I don't feel like he's trending towards it, but I feel like he wants it. So he might get it. We'll see. Okay. Jeff Strebeck then predicts Baltimore gets creative to fix some troublesome pass defense. And this is where he said he thinks that they could be moving people around to where they just get the 6 best DBs on there. And if it means that somebody's got to move to safety, then somebody's got to move to safety. He said maybe Tre'Davious White helps with that, or maybe some other guys. But he thinks they're going to get creative to try to get just their 6 best DBs out there. Finally, here's his final prediction. Ravens return to Arrowhead for another opportunity versus the Chiefs. I feel like that's inevitable. That's inevitable.
That's happening. The NFL wants it to happen. That's happening. But the key point here is return to Arrowhead.
Yes.
Not host the Chiefs.
Not when the Chiefs are 6-0 right now, or what? They're undefeated. What are they at now? 8.
They're now 8-0.
8-0.
Yeah.
They'd have to lose, have a pretty good losing streak.
Yeah.
In order for the Ravens to catch him. So that, yes, I think it's correct in the place, and I think it's correct that it's going to happen.
These are all very reasonable from Jeff. I have
Jeff's like the most reasonable guy out there.
He very much is. The least confidence, obviously, is that second to last prediction. Baltimore gets creative to fix troublesome pass defense. I mean, it's just, there's creativity, and then there's just straight up personnel reality. But hey, you've got Dean Pease in there for a reason. And you hope that Zach can continue to come along here in year 1. And then, as Marlon pointed out this week, execution. There
you go.
Let's get to our final calls here. And by the way, we missed a big Punisher reference on one of these super chats. Kendrick, this went way over both of our heads.
Well, I don't
this reference. So shout out Kendrick. But
I'm more of a podcast person because I'm always trying to get ready for the show. I just don't listen to much music anymore.
Okay.
It's too bad.
All good.
Yeah.
Kendrick, just so you know, we're fully caught up to speed now. Ian says, Bobby, the Ravens will show belt to butt tomorrow.
Basically, he's saying the Ravens are going to whoop them.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Joe Jenkins says, predicting. Oh, Ian, you didn't do a hashtag vault, brother. Joe Jenkins says, predicting Wiggins first pick tomorrow. Hashtag vault.
I guess it was a 90s song. I am really off.
Dream says, I feel better about that now since I'm a 94 baby. Dream says, since he's got to a Super Bowl with the trash defense, hashtag vault. Brandon says, if the trade deadline comes back to cost us this season, then we need to clean house, fire EDC, fire John, fire Zach, because we have an unserious organization. Incompetence. Mitchell says tight ends will be big versus the loaded box. #Vault. I thought tight ends were going to be big last week, and they weren't even featured. And we are
Because Zay
fully
was
caught
going
up.
off. I thought it was going to be a big Mark Andrews day.
Yes, he was. Yes,
Whatever.
Zay was. Hey, it's time for
Pick
our
your poison.
randomized giveaway, courtesy of
right.
our friends at Homage. Again, guys, this is the fourth go around of 8.
This is third.
Third of 8
Yeah.
episodes. You sure about that?
Yeah, because this
Okay.
is my third shirt I've worn.
This is our third episode that we've been working with Homage, which is an apparel company. It's a retro varsity type of old school vintage merch company that has NFL gear, all big league gear, including the Ravens. And in order to be eligible for a free Homage t-shirt, which we're about to give away right now, all you had to do to enter this thing is 1, subscribe to the Vault, 2, like the video. That's all in one, both of those things. 2, leave a super chat with the #Vault. And click on the link that we have included as a pinned comment in the live chat, which is also atop the show notes. And Sarah, courtesy of this new system that we have ready to roll here, is about to pick one. One more has come in. Wildlife says, Sarah, we're the same age. That was from high school. #Vault.
Listen, okay, I am now. Okay, so the song is called Big Pun. That's what it's called?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I just
don't
put
think
in
so.
those words. Big Pun comes up and says, still not a player. Am I right? Is that what it is?
I think it's
Because we might have to play it.
Big Punisher, isn't it? No, we can't play it from copyright standpoint. But
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. Oh, they say, no, that's the rapper. But is it called Still Not a Player?
Truth
Yes.
says Big Pun's the
Yes,
artist.
they are. Okay, listen. I'm going to listen later to see if I ever listen to it. Listen, there's no way I listened to this when I was younger.
The whole Ellison household.
I'm reading some of the lyrics. You guys think that I was listening to this?
Throw it on when all your kids come home.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Okay. Let me
do
see
it.
here. Let's do it. Let me pull it in.
As you do that,
yeah.
I want to say thank you to our patrons who support us through Patreon and are part of the Vault Patreon community. Ralph Parks and Nick Nuccio. Thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate you guys. This is your monthly shout out. And if you're interested in doing the same, you guys can do so and support the Vault this football season for as little as $1.99 by visiting patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. You can learn more and find more information on that in the show notes below. And it is giveaway time.
Here we go.
Off we go.
What was it going to stop on? Oh, so close, Sherry.
I'll be ready to pull up the Mitchell.
Oh, boom.
Mitchell. All right. Let's see what Mitchell said. Mitchell hit us with a tight ends will be big versus the loaded box. #Vault. And he is our giveaway winner today, meaning Mitchell, hit us up, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com, so you can claim your t-shirt. And all you have to do in that email, by the way, is just hit us with a couple different receipts. Receipt that you subscribe to the channel, a receipt that you liked this video, meaning screenshots. We know that you left your super chat, so you're all good there. And then send us a screenshot as you go over to the website, the homage.com/Sarah and Bobby, unique URL that you see in the super chat, or I'm sorry, in the live chat, which is a pinned comment. If you do those 3 things, we'll set you up with our guy Kevin from Homage to get you all taken care of.
Yeah, if you could let us know not just the t-shirt you want, but the size, and send us your mailing address also.
Beautiful.
Send that all in one email. It's a lot. So go back and listen to all this. There's like a checklist of 6 things right there. Your receipt of subscribing, liking the show, the t-shirt you want, the size, and your address. I guess that's 5 things. By the way, you want to know what's cool? Is Mitchell asked just a few minutes ago, Sarah, where'd you get that shirt? Well, Mitchell, you could order it right now, or you could pick whatever t-shirt you want, any t-shirt you want, send it to us in the email with the size and your address, and we'll get it to you.
Love it. Yeah, Mitchell, too. You see the email right on the ticker right there, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. That is also, if you want to just copy and paste it, is in the show notes as well. So everything's there for the taking. Thank you guys for being part of this. Thanks to all 53 of you for dropping in super chat donations. Thanks to all 3,300 plus of you right now that are joining us concurrently. Please like the video if you're in the YouTube space. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. And if you're in the Twitter sphere, consider popping over to YouTube with us and making it a habit. Helps us out a lot on the back end from a business perspective. So with that, we got game day coming up tomorrow. Being that it is a weekday, we will have a Ravens lunch hour live stream at 12 noon, as usual, 12 noon Eastern. So looking forward to that. You said Harbaugh and somebody else speaks today? Yesterday?
No, today they're off.
Oh, no media availability today.
No media availability because it's like a
Oh,
Saturday
it's the day before a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
no,
in
Harbaugh
that
was
case-
yesterday.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
So did you want to just quickly give any updates on your FaceTime last night, Bobby
That's
Bachelor?
funny. Well, first of all, she and her friend were there. They were just together hanging out, watching the election. And they both really like you.
Oh,
And
they
I'm not just
do?
saying that. I'm not just saying that. They threw that out there that they enjoy Sarah. That's what they said. We
Oh, good.
enjoy Sarah. We enjoy her energy.
Because I like
I
how
was thinking-
fun they were. So it's
I was thinking to
mutual.
myself, you sure, guys? She was trying to set me up with somebody else from the Mormon community yesterday.
Did you say that?
No, I
Did
didn't
they-
say that.
I just wonder if they saw that segment because I definitely was because I had already forgotten. But no, I love their fun energy. I loved it.
Yeah, no, I think they literally listen to like every single second. So they're fun, they're cool. Madison she's got good energy. At one point she goes, and this is when I knew that she listened to the whole thing. She goes, "So, I'm an old soul, huh?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh man, you really did listen to that segment. Holy crap, you're probably listening right now." So yeah, no crazy updates. I think at some point here in the near future, I'm probably gonna we've done 2 FaceTimes now. My mom's in town for the next 9 days, so nothing's happening over that span. But I think I'll probably
Whatever.
stick
she
my
can
neck
come
out
to
there here in the
Baltimore.
next.
She's got a house there. Your mom's nice.
Oh,
Never come up.
wouldn't that be something? That's true.
You've already met her parents.
I have. But
I love it that she reached out to FaceTime again last night.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah. But yeah, just to wrap that up, I think maybe over the next week or so, I'll suggest a date and time after looking at the calendar. So more to come.
More to come. All right. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear
All right,
it.
people.
You want to know what else is to come? A
Yeah.
Thursday night primetime game between the Ravens and Bengals.
That's right.
I'm genuinely excited about that. Although
That's what
I got to
we're-
get a nap in tomorrow. We're going to be up late.
That's what we're. Yeah, it's going to be a late night.
Yeah.
8:15 kickoff for Thursday. Pre-game for me at the Be More Around Town tailgate starts at 6. Would love to see you guys out there. Sarah and I will be on at midnight or so. Is typically what it works out with primetime games. Typically, once the press conferences finish up, we're hitting the ground running. So, would love to see you guys there as always, virtually or in person at my pregame show. Thanks to Homage for continuing this partnership. We're 3 episodes into our 8-game campaign here. Would love for you to support them, check them out, and also enter in next Wednesday's giveaway, which is coming up 1 week from today. And with that, thanks to Sarah Ellison, as always, partner. Appreciate you.
Jay Morrison.
I'm Bobby Trossett. Jay Morrison, our featured guest for the Cincinnati perspective. There will be a pullout if you missed it. An official game preview as we get ready for Week 10 coming up tomorrow night. Inside the Bank, we're under John Harbaugh on Thursday nights. They are unbeaten. Drop us your prediction down in the live chat. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell if you haven't already done so, and enjoy your Wednesdays. For Sarah, I'm Bobby signing off. And as always, we appreciate you guys for joining us here inside the vault.